Hi everyone, Sheena Hansen here, and thanks for tuning in to our frequently asked questions series. And today I'm going to be talking about risk tolerance. This is a question I get so often. Should I change my risk? And usually it surrounds an annual review conversation or email that goes out. Potentially someone's retiring. And of course, people often think, well, as I'm getting older, shouldn't I change my risk tolerance? Or, maybe there's a financial change or just a change in someone's overall situation that would impact their investments. With regard to risk tolerance, as a professional financial advisor, I certainly help clients steer themselves towards making a decision on how they want to be allocated with their investments regarding risk, but I certainly can't make the decision for them. It's your money, and so it really is a decision that is made together. And so I want to kind of outline the criteria and really kind of explain to you how I think risk tolerance should be evaluated. And hopefully this will help you kind of think about that over time. So let's dive into it. This here is a picture. It's a chart from Michael Kitces, kitces.com. I follow this resource a lot, and so I hope you find it helpful. But it's one way to think about risk tolerance, and I think it's a great way to really relate it to your situation. So there's really two components that really go into how risky your portfolio should be. Number one is the willingness to take risk. So that's a little bit more of an emotional factor. And the other aspect is the capacity to take risk. That's more objective, really looking at the nuts and bolts of your financial situation. How can we get you to where you want to be? And so marrying these two things together, your willingness to take risk and your capacity to take risk, ultimately helps us decide and helps you decide how you want your investments to be managed. So let's think about what goes into your capacity for risk. Capacity defined, it's your ability to withstand a downturn in the stock market. So oftentimes we talk about and think about your goals. Maybe you want to have $1 million before you retire. Maybe you want to buy a second home or be a snowbird for a few months out of the year. And so we have to think about your goals. How do we get there? Your time horizon, essentially, when do you need this money? Maybe for income, creating a stream of income in the future, or for one-time expenses, perhaps a car purchase is coming up or other one-off expenses. We also take into consideration your assets. So oftentimes, people have other assets outside their retirement accounts, their brokerage accounts. They might have real estate, they might own a business, other income sources like pensions or Social Security. And so this certainly does get evaluated with how we want other investments to be invested for risk. And of course, changes in your financial situation. How does that look and how does that impact your capacity for risk? Now, your willingness to take risk, there are a lot of other reasons that would impact your willingness to take risk, which is essentially your attitude towards market volatility. So these are common ones that I've listed here, and I'm sure maybe you can relate to a few of them, but just the overall fear of losing money. I've been here before, I remember COVID, I remember 2008, 2009, and I don't want that to happen again. The don't sleep at night factor, I kind of call that just anxiety around market fluctuation. If you're someone that logs in online, you look at your statement and if you see your balance has decreased, that, there's a lot of unease emotionally around that. Psychologically, you might be at a point in your life where you just feel like losses on paper feel a lot more painful than the rewards of the gains. And if that's true, that needs to be noted and, maybe action taken towards those feelings. Your reactions to recent events, economically speaking, geopolitically, or politically, or even your own personal events. So kind of what's going on right now that's creating some unrest or some fear around your willingness to take risks. A couple other ones listed here. It's often the case where there's a shift in mindset. So, we all grow and evolve as people, and especially later in life, you might just have a general preference for being more in wealth preservation or stability as compared to being more so heavy in growth. There's influence everywhere, social media, the other media outlets like TV and radio, or even just discussions with your family, friends, and peers. We are all humans, and so it's very common and normal to compare yourself to others or what feels like what the majority of other people are doing, and question, well, maybe I should be doing something different, or think about my risk tolerance differently. And confidence. There is a certain level of confidence that goes along with being able to withstand fluctuations in the stock market. And so your level of confidence often impacts your willingness to take risk. So after we kind of think about all of these factors that go into your willingness to take risk and also your capacity to take risk, that's when we can either recommend and kind of help you make a decision as to how aggressive or moderate or even conservative you want your investments to be. And that's where we kind of align and manage those investments according to your risk tolerance with a stock and bond and cash mix. It's very important to know that your risk tolerance doesn't need to stay the same. It can change. Hence the question, should I change my risk tolerance? And that's why we like to review it every single year and accommodate for those changes when they're necessary. So I hope this discussion really helped you kind of wrap your head around how should I think about my risk tolerance over time. And if there's a deeper discussion that needs to be had with our office regarding your risk tolerance, we're always here. So please just reach out. Thank you for tuning in today. That's really all I have, and we'll see you next time.